YouTube, thank you so much for checking out the video using macronutrients to achieve your goals. Brand new series that I've dropped here on my channel, and I really appreciate you all for checking it out. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I dropped a book back in late 2021 by the same title as this series, Using Macronutrients to Achieve Your Goals. Now, this was kind of like a passion project for me at the time. I spent most of 2021 figuring out how to write and market this book, and it's been a couple of years now, and I want to provide you all with some value and make a YouTube series out of the contents of this book, because I still think while some time has passed, it's extremely relevant and useful to the people to help you get on the right track with your diet goals. So I'll be breaking this series down into 5 separate parts, and I'll be dropping each part on a weekly basis, or as close to that as I possibly can. So we'll start off today by introducing macronutrients. What are they? Why you should track them? Talking about some basic functions and kind of just laying the framework for this whole series. Won't be the most technically challenging video today, but informational nonetheless. So before we get into all of the good content, all the goodies, I'd really appreciate it if you helped me grow this channel, helped share the series around. So definitely hit this video with a like if you learned something, hit that subscribe button, and ring the notification bell to stay up to date on all the recent uploads. I've been posting some training footage, some podcasts, check-ins with my clients. I'm just trying to provide a lot of value to the people because it's something that I love doing. You know, if you can learn something from my mistakes, that's a win in my book. And I guess I should say, as a quick ground rule, you'll see me scrolling through this slideshow, and I'm probably going to include it as it is. So you're getting the free book, $20 value here. Kick it off by answering a very important question. How will tracking macros even help you? Why is it worth your time? And I think that goes back to the fact that many people don't quite understand how the food that they put in their body affects the outcomes that they want, whether it's purely body composition or hormonal or performance wise. It's very important to have this understanding and tracking macronutrients, understanding what, let's say chicken breast, how consuming chicken breast in whatever quantity you're consuming at will affect your body composition, the way you feel, and the way you perform in the gym or any other activity that you prefer. Another huge benefit of tracking macros is that it helps you understand portion control. Many times people are overeating, and it's very easy to do. So you can't fault people for not understanding how the quantity of whatever food they're consuming will affect the desired outcome. But tracking macronutrients gives you that understanding, and it can allow you to eventually shift onto intuitive eating, and after you've tracked macronutrients, you kind of have 2 options. First, you can switch over to intuitive eating, which is where you're not as concerned with putting the exact gram amounts of whatever food you're eating into an app like MyFitnessPal, for example. You can get a great understanding and appreciation for the foods that you're eating, understand what a reasonable quantity looks like for your goal, and go on from there, integrating it into your life as a very natural thing. Or if you'd like to get very specific, optimize your performance to that nth degree, continuing to track and develop your systems of preparation, so on and so forth, is huge, and optimizing your performance to the highest degree. But what it really boils down to is understanding the implications of what you're putting into your body. The fun details. I just want to say and put this disclaimer out there, guys. I am not a registered dietitian, so take this as advice, but it's not law. Take this information with a grain of salt, please. Reference what I'm saying against other credible sources, and then culminate that information to make it work the best that it can for your life. My educational background, I went to Ohio State and took several nutrition course. So I also coach athletes and lifestyle clients to pretty high degrees of success when it comes to dialing in nutrition. And I don't do meal plans because that is something only a registered dietitian can do. So take all of this with a grain of salt and just understand the lane that I'm approaching macronutrients in. Now, a surprising amount of people aren't actually familiar with what each macronutrient does in your body. So we're going to take some time to break down the function, how it's used in your body, and the overall impact of the macronutrient in your diet. So let's start with every bodybuilder's favorite macronutrient, which is protein. So protein, you can think of that as something like chicken breast, whey protein. We'll go over plenty more examples in the next slide. But protein is broken down digested into amino acids that are absorbed into your muscles to be used for muscle protein synthesis. Protein fuels MPS, which results in gains, right? So you're putting the work in the gym, right? You're breaking down your muscle fibers, putting a high amount of tension, stimulus on those muscles. They're broken down and they need those amino acids to build back up. Protein supplies that to get this whole process rolling. And there are 4 kilocalories, or often just referred to as calories, per gram of protein. So let's say you need 30 grams of protein in a meal. That is going to equate to 120 total calories in that serving of protein. Let's move it right along to another beloved macronutrient, which is carbohydrates. Now, the functional kind of unit, I guess you could say, of carbs is glucose, and that's broken down and either used as immediate energy that you'll use throughout your day, or it can be stored as fat. It can be stored as glycogen in other organs as well. So a lot of nuance that goes into this. I'm just taking a very surface level because that's all you really need to know. Just know that carbs are mostly used for energy. It's your body's main energy source. And there's also 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate. Now, fat is the interesting one. It's often the most frowned upon macro because you hear fat and you don't want that, right? But please do not sleep on fats because they're utilized to keep your hormones in balance and for a slew of other bodily functions, very essential. So please do not slack on those fats in your diet. Very important for hormone balance and also used as a secondary energy source. And possibly why they get so demonized is because they're commonly used in the American diet, and a gram of fat is 9 calories. So it is the most calorically dense macronutrient out there. Now, what are some good sources of each of these macronutrients? So I want to cover around 3 examples of each macronutrient to give you a good understanding of what foods that you're currently consuming actually equate to the macronutrients that we're talking about. Protein. A lot of people know about protein already. Animal products such as chicken, beef, fish, eggs, I guess you could say, are a good source of protein. A lot of the animal meats are going to be your main contributors, but also don't sleep on your dairy products. While something like milk might not be the best source of protein, whey is derived from dairy products. Milk is also a great protein, don't get me wrong, but there's a good amount of protein in many dairy products as well. And then also, if you're more on the vegetarian side, we have, legumes, soy protein. There's tons of vegetarian options out there. I'm not the most well versed in that, but there are plenty of options out there for all my vegetarians. In terms of carbohydrates, I think there's 2 things that we should really cover here, which are complex carbohydrates and then simple carbohydrates, right? So complex carbohydrates usually come from your grains. So things like wheat, a lot of vegetables, generally like rice or grains with the germ still on them, stuff that hasn't been removed and processed. Fruits and added sugars are more so your simple carbohydrates, and that's not a bad thing. They can be very useful for certain scenarios, but they're often more quickly digested. They are broken down into glucose either easier or they just are purely glucose as you're consuming them. In terms of fats, you generally have saturated fats and unsaturated fats. Saturated fats are generally coming from animal products, so it could be like the fat that's in a certain cut of beef. It could be things like butter that are derived from other animal products. And then you have your unsaturated fats, olive oil, avocado, certain nuts, and yeah, like things like flax seeds and tree nuts that you eat fall within that category. So guys, this has been kind of like the intro teaser video for the great things to come in terms of using macronutrients to achieve your goals. So we've talked about how tracking macronutrients will set you up to understand portion control, which can either allow you to really zone in and dial in your performance, or make this a very sustainable approach and shift into intuitive eating over time. And then we broke down the function of each macronutrient, how they're used within your body, and the total calories in each macronutrient. And then we also discussed some examples of each macronutrient. And then guys, bear with me because we're going to get into the nitty gritty of how macronutrients fit within your dietary needs. First, you have to understand your caloric expenditure. So we're going to go through how you determine how many calories you need in a day to achieve your goals, whether it's fat loss, maintaining, or weight gain. And then we'll delve into how to allocate each macronutrient, because each macronutrient has a calorie value, into those calorie needs. And that's where the magic happened, guys. So stick with me. Next couple videos will be really where you'll start to see a ton of great practical information, stuff that a lot of people typically don't know. So stay tuned for that one. Once again, guys, I'd really appreciate it if you liked the video, if you learned a little something today. Hit that subscribe button, because next week's video is coming in hot at you. And then ring that notification bell just so you can stay up to date. I appreciate you all. If you do feel like you want to get your hands on all of this information right now and figure out how you can use macronutrients and tracking to achieve your goals, just shoot me an email. My email will be listed down in the description below, and we can make that happen. So until next time, guys, I appreciate you. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great one.